5 minutes with Sean, maybe 10. It's another beautiful week here in August, the middle of August, the middle of the dog days of things. Last week on the show, we had some fun with the concept of going viral. Well, again, as I said before, my version of it, it's different for everyone, what it means to them. But that was a lot of fun. I appreciate everyone's engagement around it. So thank you. This week, as a man, I am familiar with the term mansplaining. I am guilty of it, if you ask my wife, likely daily. Okay, but now I want to take that concept and I want to put it into something I'm going to call vendor-splaining. All right, and this is when vendors tell you and or your client what's good for you, and if it's not that, then everything else is bad for you, or they take their time to try and explain things to you that they feel they have great knowledge of. It turns out they don't. And so what happens when you don't understand your audience, right? You end up overshooting it sometimes. And so it can be a situation where you're talking down to people who do know the content, do know the subject matter, and you're not even taking time to consider that. You're just simply going through and vendor-splaining how you see it because your way is the only way in some cases. So what I would ask of people is to take it back a step, and when you have your calls, this is me sitting on client calls, by the way. Okay, this ranges from vendors, third parties who work with OEMs. I mean, you don't have to be like this is a lot of different genres of people within our industry who currently are doing this for one reason or another. And maybe it's because some of it does kind of center around GA4. So I think some people are now have arrived at the GA4 party, and now they're ready to tell us how it works or where we should put things or how views should be, etc. So I think there's a lot of this already around the topic. And so that's what I stress to people all the time, is to make sure that you're doing things always the way you want them done. And whether that's telling a vendor how they want to do it, because when people tell you that we do it differently as a vendor, we're this, we're that, that's all well and good. But at the end of the day, you probably don't. And so it's important that dealers have a consistent plan and approach when doing this, because when a dealer gets vendor-splained to, I can tell you this firsthand. I work with one of the best marketing directors in the country, and she was on a call with a vendor who you could just tell every word that came out of their mouth, they were trying to bring it down to this child level, because they didn't think she understood, because she was asking questions that were beyond them. And so they thought that she was just off the wall, right? And when that happens, you end up with a client who's like, what the hell just happened? And this also, to make a bigger point, I suppose, of it all, is that it does revolve around the idea of swapping out people, right? So this was a vendor that this marketing director has worked with for a long time. And then they brought in new people because people had left or moved on or whatever the case, downsizing, whatever these reasons are. And this new crew sort of, thought they had to start. They didn't know who they were dealing with, because as far as I was concerned, they never asked. And clearly there's no notes in anyone's CRM to say, hey, when you're dealing with these folks, because this marketing director and the crew she rolls with are good at what they do. They're really good. And so when they come up to a meeting, they're ready to roll. And so for them to first spend the first 15 minutes being vendor-splained to, then the second 15 minutes being told that, we're not interested in that. We want to do things this way. That's never going to win out. So vendors, before you start to get deep into the weeds on something, why don't you try and take the temperature of the people on the call in the room, so that A, you don't start off offending people, because I've seen that more than once. And B, so that you are more prepared to have the discussion. And lastly, as it relates to this, vendor-splaining gets real deep, I find, when people use PowerPoints. So I would say limit those and try to really stick to conversations with people and really listening and finding out what it is they need, because the farther we go down an AI funnel, especially in the marketing world, the only thing that's going to set vendors apart will be their customer service. There will be nothing else to worry about sooner or later, because it won't be like you'll have an opportunity to get in and adjust ads or do things. Shit, we can barely get conversions from Google. So on the new product. So at the end of the day, I would say that making sure you are great at your job is one thing, but making sure you listen to your customers is completely another. Thank you guys so much. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we will do it all again next week.